Good evening, everyone. This is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and this show is brought to you by our friends at Massage Magazine Insurance Plus. Massage Magazine has been exploring touch therapies for over 25 years and has used that industry knowledge to develop the best value liability insurance in the business. And I want to thank Eric Dalton for sponsoring this presentation and offering Massage Nerd listeners to a 10% discount on all his home study courses. Use the code MN10 when you check out at ericdalton.com. And another sponsor is Shalene Taylor. She turned her struggling massage therapy practice into multi-million-dollar, multi-location success, and now is showing others how to build a purposeful and profitable massage practice. Visit www.iambiz.com. Hi everyone, this is Ryan Hoyme. So we have Donna Jason and Tom Cochran from www.sacredlomi.com. Welcome tonight, both of you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yep.
Aloha.
And you guys are in California, but you got a fireplace. So what's up with that?
I'm trying to stay warm after a trip to Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's cold in California.
Yeah. Is it always warm in Hawaii then?
No.
No?
Can't be.
Yep.
We just get used to the warmth, and so we keep it going.
Okay.
Anyway.
So how did you guys get started in Lomi Lomi then?
It's a long story. I started like in 1991, and my experience was I had no massage background, and I went to a workshop, and in the workshop, a woman came out, did a demonstration. She did it on me, and I received the work, and I just loved it. I thought this was incredible. With no massage background, no training, anything. I went to a workshop, and that's how I started with the whole thing. It was just quite a powerful experience. I was looking for massage schools. I couldn't find the right school, and I found this. I did my first workshop in July of '91 as a student. And I moved to Hawaii like 6 months later. So it's kind of a rocket just went right through into it.
So you basically got addicted right away in the beginning then.
Yeah. Quite powerful. It was really a personal transformation for me. It was really emotional, cathartic, kind of a spiritual thing that happened for me that really took me to Hawaii. I lived there for a long time, so. It's hard to describe, but it was just our students know about it. Hello to all our students out there. Hopefully. So it was just a really personal experience. I never had found a modality or anything that I was doing where I was embracing the emotional body, physical body, spiritual, all these different bodies at the same time in a visceral way. And so when I got connected to it and I felt this power and this kind of love that came through the aloha, that's what got me into it.
And you never turned back since, have you?
Well, I've had 20 years and I'm still learning about what I'm doing.
Have you branched out in other therapies at all, or has it always been strictly Lomi?
I went to massage school and I've done a lot of other things as far as healing, meditation, all these kind of things, personal growth, yoga. As far as hands-on work, though, it's been mostly this. This has been my passion. I've seen a lot of people and I've gone as a client to a lot of people, but I just love this. It rings through so much for people. My focus is not just hands-on work. My focus is that Lomi means to transform, to shift. And in our workshops and with clients, what you're working on is someone really opening up their whole being. So for me, it's not really a modality. It's kind of a whole way of life almost in a way. It's like a cult in a way.
Yeah.
It really does open people up to a very powerful space. And that's what happened for me. That's what we're sharing with other people, You got to create a really safe space for people and invite them to really open up their hearts. And we don't have a lot of places in this culture for that in a real kind of visceral way. We don't have that kind of space of spiritual and then the whole physical part. So quite powerful.
And would you say the vibe is really different in Hawaii too for Lomi Lomi then?
The land, the Aina, the land and Hawaii, the whole culture, it's kind of been lost. A lot of it's been lost, but the real traditional culture is incredible. And you learn just being there. And you learn with the people who live there. This whole idea of aloha is not just hello and goodbye. It's really about the divine being with the breath of life in your presence. I mean, it's about being present in the moment. And that whole space of aloha and that culture is quite transformational. But having done it, I moved from Hawaii after 10 years to the mainland. It took me a while, but we have created that kind of space here. But Hawaii does support it, no doubt about it. I mean, it's been incredible, the culture.
lineage and the power of the work comes through no matter where we are. And,
true.
you know, it follows you around. So
I've done Lomi in the snow.
in fact, we've been invited to the North Pole.
I've done it in Vail. I've done it everywhere. But it's, you know, it's hard to talk about. But there's a spiritual tradition. There's a lineage, and it supports you. And you know, you learn a lot about a technique in Lomi. You learn about how to do it, the breath, and all these things. But really, when you're in there with it, it's about letting go and trusting. And when the real power happens for somebody, the real opening happens, it's not a technique and it's not something you're trying to do. You're really opening up to the divine and giving it over and saying, what's going to happen now? And when you're really unsure what's going to happen next and you really don't know what to do, that's when the power really happens. So it's kind of ironic because you're teaching something, you're holding a space, but the paradox is you don't have any control over it. You're really letting it come through.
And do you think the Hawaiians are still continuing with the tradition of teaching Lomi Lomi to the relatives and stuff then, or is that getting lost a little bit?
It's getting lost a little bit. It's still happening, but it's not as strong as it used to be, I don't think, you know. It's the modern culture has really decimated the Hawaiian culture, and it's kind of been a hard situation there. So it is getting lost. But a lot of it's coming back with hula and Mary Monarch. There's a resurgence in a lot of ways of Hawaiian language. There's a real resurgence. I'm not an expert on this, but it is coming back. But they have lost a lot too. So
they have lost a lot, but what we've witnessed is there are so many Hawaiians who are not Hawaiian by blood, but Hawaiian in their heart. And this work helps people remember who they are and helps people remember that part of themselves. So a lot of people are drawn to this work and remember this work somewhere in their DNA, even if they're not Hawaiian. And we've witnessed that, and we've been a part of that, and it's very profound. And a lot of these sacred lineages that come from the indigenous tribes, when they're honored, they can still be kept alive, you know?
Yeah, and it's sad that we've lost. There's the wisdom, in my opinion, from my experience and what I've read and my experiences as a student, the wisdom in the traditional cultures is massive. I mean, it's like going to another planet because they have so much wisdom about nature, about how the body works. It's like going to another universe. And the technology is so advanced in what we're doing in some ways with the healing work. It's just massive. And so for 20 years I've been doing this work and I'm still learning like a beginning person, like a beginner. Because I'm always finding out new things when I'm practicing, and I find other teachers who are working. So there's a massive amount of wisdom and just aloha and power that come through this lineage. And the techniques are just all very powerful, but it takes some time. You don't just get it in 3 days and learn how to do a stroke. It's not about that. It's not just learning how to do a form. It's about embodying it and feeling it and allowing your heart to really feel it and being present with someone, creating a safe space, sacred touch, and seeing the world. As a practitioner, as you see people differently, as you see the work, you affect the person you're working on. So if you hold a place of love, it's going to happen for somebody. Some of it's very simple, but the real wisdom of the culture is very profound. And the more we can hang out with it, be with it, the more powerful we can be as healers with each other.
Yep. And then what does Lomi Lomi truly mean then?
Sorry, you want to know that one? But let me say something about this. The Hawaiian language, I'm not an expert on this, but I just want to say, you say one word, Lomi Lomi in Hawaiian, it can mean a dish, it can mean to rub, it can mean to break into small pieces, it can mean to shift your whole vibration. So the language has many levels. And so it's not just like our language, it says one thing. So Lomi can mean to weave, it can mean to rub, it can mean to knead, but it also can mean to shift the vibration of the person you're working with. So there are many different meanings, and you can go to one person and be in a space, and the same person can work on you and give you a massage, just a regular massage, relax your muscles. You can go to another person, or another time you have a whole transformation in your body, and you feel like you've just seen your ancestors, and you feel like God has come through, and you're just, love is happening. So I think the best definition for me of what Lomi is I don't know what it means. It means being present with a person in the moment and seeing what comes up, Yep. And that's when the not knowing place, the not conceptualizing, the not defining place is really very powerful. We just lost the whole visual.
We lost our visual.
Okay.
Okay.
We just, there we went.
Yeah.
Now we know we're in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. So there's many different types of Lomi out there then?
Lomi Lomi, I mean, it means massage. It's the Hawaiian word for that. And it has all those other meanings to weave and to break pieces. But really, because there's so many different styles, as you just said, each style came through each family and each healing system. And so there are many, many different styles, and this specific style came from a Kahuna who, well, you should talk about that.
No, go ahead. You're doing great.
came from a Kahuna, Abraham Kavai, and he brought this style forth, but we've actually since learned that many of the things that we've been guided to bring to this style are actually from another tradition as well. So anytime somebody becomes a healer of a certain modality, they really become a synthesizer, because you can't embody something without becoming one with it. And the Hawaiians and this style very much teaches each person to be connected to their own source, their own divinity, their own guidance, and their own guides. And this style invites each individual to connect with their own divinity, connect with their own guidance, and do what is right in each moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. So there's a very specific form to it, but within that form, there's a lot of permission to follow whatever the body is calling for, that they're working on.
And what I really want to say is you're not trying to do something to somebody in Lomi, from my perspective. You're becoming this whole process. You're jumping in it yourself, and you're saying, I'm going to get out of the way and see what comes through in the process. So after you have a certain amount of training, you learn the notes, and you learn the key, and you learn a little bit about it, and you feel some confidence, some mana. I know what I can do. So I have confidence. Something's going to happen here. And then you have to let go of that and jump in the water as a practitioner. I get as much out of as a practitioner as I do as a recipient. You get a lot out of practicing. And both people receiving and practicing are really receiving. They're really recipients. In other words, you're in a place of facilitation and allowing. You're almost in a trance space when you're doing it in a way. You're really letting go and listening. You're listening to the body, listening to everything in the room. So you're listening to the ancestors. It can be very powerful. So you can look at Lomi in a way that, you're in a spa and you're getting a nice paradise kind of Hawaiian massage. That works fine. It's very peaceful, very loving. That's beautiful. But to me, there are levels to it. There's a lot of aloha. There's a lot of power. There's a lot of healing and letting go of the stones or the rocks inside the body that people are holding on to. And so there are just many, many levels to it. It really is an endless process. We've had people come to our workshops, the same workshop in Hawaii 12, 15 times. Every year they come back. Or a 4-day workshop, because they're not just learning a technique, they're deepening their connection to themselves. They're getting a deep connection to themselves. And if they have a deep connection to themselves, they're a much better practitioner working on other people. They just have that depth,
I would say if there's anything that we're passionate about with Lomi, it's supporting people to shed anything that is not authentically theirs, anything that's in the way of them being authentic, and make more room in their being for their soul, make more room in their being for their deepest truth. And so this work is a way to facilitate that shedding, that cleansing, that letting go of anything from their ancestry, if you believe in past lives, from this life's experiences, anything that is holding them back from being their most authentic self. And that just makes room in their being for their spirit to come through.
Another way of saying they take the trash out. They're just taking the trash out. That's all it is.
That's what we are. We're trash.
People collect stuff over time and they just dump it out and they feel more open. They feel more love. They feel safer. I mean, it's just taking the trash out.
And what other kind of traditions does the Hawaiian culture use?
The most powerful one that we love right now is called Ho'oponopono. And this is a bit involved, but Ho'oponopono means setting things straight, setting things right, finding alignment. And when you feel out of alignment with your community or with someone in a relationship, it doesn't feel good in your body. And Ho'oponopono is saying, how do I find alignment with myself in relationship to my people around me? but also inside my family. Talk about Ho'oponopono. This is Donna's specialty.
Well, I'm very somehow connected on the etheric realms with this.
Talk about Pono first. Pono means setting things straight or being right or in alignment. And Ho'opono means finding that space of alignment.
Yeah, so you can be, you can practice Ho'oponopono with anything, with objects, with humans, with yourself. And what we do with Lomi Lomi is a very athletic form of Ho'oponopono. In the tradition, the Hawaiians believe that there's the inner child self, which is the unihipili, it's our subconscious, and it's all the programming that's in our cells. It's everything we've ever stored from our DNA, our lifetimes, this lifetime. And then there's our conscious mind, the yohane, and there is our superconscious or our higher self, our amakua. And when aspects of our own being are out of alignment with one another, then we sabotage ourselves in life, and things are difficult, and we don't know why things don't flow, or we have an impulse and then something gets in our way. And that it requires great honesty with oneself to find alignment with all our parts, integrity, honesty. And if we want to work with divinity, if we want to work with the forces of nature around us, and we're not being honest, it's not going to work. Whereas if we do the work to delve inward and find out what parts of ourselves need love, need healing, need forgiveness, and forgiveness is the big key, and go to those places and find forgiveness, somehow it just falls into alignment. And then we can feel nature, we can work with nature, we can work with the divine, and we can be in a flow as opposed to always tripping over ourselves trying to get where we think we want to go.
Ho'oponopono, it's hard to describe it, but it's a visceral feeling. And you work with your ancestors quite a bit too. Your ancestors often pass down things. Sometimes they're really good things, creativity or artistic abilities. They also pass down belief systems sometimes. Like some of the belief systems like, I'm not good enough, or I'm a bad boy when I do this, or I should work harder, or I should push harder. And these things are beliefs or thoughts that are in our bodies that are passed down in our DNA, really, in our beliefs in our family. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes in a mental place. And the idea of Ho'oponopono is kind of unraveling some of that, unraveling and saying, I don't have to work so hard. It can be okay. I'm a divine being just the way I am. So this Ho'oponopono is about helping the ancestors some clear stuff out that's in our body. A lot of illnesses that happen in the body, I think, and I see, are stuff that's stuck in the body from the ancestors that are passed down. We have just inherited it. So a lot of things, Lomi Lomi is related to Ho'opono because when you talk about Lomi Lomi, you're really talking about unlearning. It's more about unlearning than learning on a real level. I mean, you're learning a form, and you're learning all these things, how to breathe and be present. That's simple things. But you're learning that a little bit. But on a real core level, you're letting go. You're unlearning all the stuff you've been taught. Some of it's not so useful, and kind of sifting through what's useful here. Do I have to push myself so hard? Am I a divine being? Do I need to punish myself? A lot of the guilt, the punishment, the not good enough stuff we all have is kind of in our culture, but it's not that useful. It's just something we inherited. So we get clear from it. You go, wow, no matter what I do, I'm okay, I can be more present with people. You get more spaciousness. And life gets a little bit more fluid, like you're surfing as opposed to you're pushing and trying so much. A lot of times new practitioners in Lomi, they want to do it because they want to feel like they're really doing something. They get a good vibe. Oh, I did a great massage, and they get good feedback. When you start to do it a lot, you get tired. The idea is more as you kind of facilitate something. You're moving and you're breathing, but you're more in alignment. If you ever played a sport or something you're really good at, you don't really hit the ball. You kind of swing through the ball. You're still doing the form, but you're kind of flowing with it. You're not pushing. And so a lot of this is about allowing and surrendering and kind of weeding out the stuff that's not so useful. And these small tapes in our head, when we were kids, we kind of pick these tapes up, kind of letting some of these things go. So Ho'oponopono and Lomi Lomi are so related in our world. It's in the body. You're clearing things out. You're finding alignment. It's taking the trash out. it sounds very simple, but when you get in there and you have this sadness you've been carrying on for 20 years, you know it was all in your body, and all of a sudden someone says it's okay to be who you are, they go again. Then all of a sudden it's powerful because you let it go. And sometimes the letting go process is very dramatic. It's like you're crying or you feel sad. Sometimes it's very beautiful. But that letting go process is just saying, you're going to different vibrations. You're shifting. Lomi Lomi means a shift. You're going to a different place. So it's quite beautiful, the whole process of just being in that space with people, in a safe space, either in a temple room or in a larger space of a workshop, and allowing them to become more of who they are in the moment, being present with them.
And why do you think Lomi Lomi is kind of secretive in a way? I mean, a lot of people keep researching it, but don't find a lot of information or don't find a lot of practitioners that actually perform it.
Well, there's different reasons for that. Historically, Lomi Lomi was outlawed. Not the restorative, relaxing Lomi Lomi, but after the missionaries came to Hawaii, a lot of the styles that were practiced were considered, what is the word?
They were outlawed.
They were outlawed.
The healers in the culture, the Kahunas, were outlawed. So that was like dark Kuna Aina, I mean black magic. They thought something was bad about it. So you get what happens is a culture comes in, and they have all these diseases. And they give you all these diseases. The Hawaiian usually getting diseases, and the culture also comes in and says your healers are outlawed. So you get very confused. So the tradition of it being hidden or secret is because the Kahunas had to really go up in the mountains because it's against the law to do these practices of healing with herbs and stuff. And so when they were outlawed, that's how it came about that they're kind of a hidden thing because they weren't safe to come out. Just in like 1978, I think.
1973. It was illegal to pray and
wow.
I mean, you couldn't pray, right? So any connection to the supernatural, which was their entire life,
everything was that,
became illegal. And as Tom was saying, a lot of diseases were brought in. So a lot of healers died. A lot of people died. And there's a lot of pain in the culture still because of that. And a lot of Hawaiians feel that, and I don't want to speak for Hawaiians, but from what I have heard directly, that they've been robbed in many ways of a lot of
the land, their home. There's a lot of pain.
Yeah. So it wasn't secret, but another aspect to this is in the 1920s when Max Freedom Long went to Hawaii and started learning about Hawaiian mysticism and Polynesian mysticism and started hearing some of these healing stories, he actually named the body of work Huna, which means secret. So he perpetuated this belief that it was secret, whereas that's actually something that an American named it, which isn't wrong. It's a beautiful body of work, but that did perpetuate this belief that it's secret. And there's a lot of confusion because there are some people who say certain modalities of Lomi Lomi are authentic and other modalities aren't. And much of this modality, from our experience, has actually been recovered through trance and prayer. Because there's this 100 years of history that can't be tracked, and none of it, it was all an oral tradition. There is a lot that came through inspiration and through teachers who got messages and were meditating and practicing, and it came forth through the work itself. The work itself became the teacher. So it's hard to validate that when a practice is so connected to the other realms.
I just want to go back to say something, because growing up in like Maryland, I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up born in the South. I went to school in the Midwest. But in the U.S., growing up in the U.S., I didn't really have access to Native American traditions really in a direct way, or Hawaiian traditions, or even the Eastern yoga traditions in a direct way. And our culture has lost our connection to the source in a way, that source connection, direct connection. So for me, the only way to find peace and happiness, for me personally, was a long journey of studying my dreams and Native American traditions and working with the land and sweat lodges and going to the Hawaiian and finding yoga and finding ways to connect in. So, these traditions are so powerful because they fill in a lot of those parts we've lost in our own culture, our connection, our direct connection to the primal parts of our bodies, The lower chakras is about connecting to the land and connecting to the earth and connecting to, how we live together in a space. So there's a lot of very practical wisdom about breathing, about, how you touch somebody, how you're with people. That's a lot of practical wisdom in these cultures that are not hierarchical. They're more circular. They're more inclusive. They're more equality places. And I think we just need to connect. There's a lot of people going back to these places now to learn from these traditions,
And then you talked about herbs and stuff. What other things do Lomi practitioners
do? Also had a real strong oral tradition. Imagine for a moment of a culture with no video. It'd be hard for you to imagine, right? Their own websites of video.
Yeah.
No, we have videos too. So
yeah.
No books and nothing written down. Think about that. And no computers. So all of a sudden you're really in the present a lot more. Pa'a, present, or manava means present. It makes you a lot more present. And so everything that they had that was passed down was through the chants. And those chants were done in the moment. You start taking a chant about what happened 200 years ago, a long time ago. But even the language itself is mostly in present tense. So it brings you into the now and not into the past and the future. And that's where the healing of Lomi is in the present, being present in the moment. And you look at the Eastern traditions, a lot of this stuff is about being present and about breath. And we get very conceptual in the West. We always think about how we're going to do things and what's happening out there. But sometimes we're thinking about how it's going to happen and what's happening out there. We're not really being present with what's happening in this moment. And so a lot of this work is slowing it down. Even Tibetans are very big into this. What's really happening in the moment? What do you really feel? Go ahead.
Well, a very simple concept in healing is forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, then you hold on to something. So, Tom is talking about being in the present and all the fundamental principles of the Hawaiian culture. And Ho'oponopono is about forgiveness, letting go of holding on to the tension surrounding a memory. Because if we hold on to anything, it's now a memory. It's not here in the moment, right? It's not happening right here, and yet we're still holding on to it. So it's something in our body that we're holding on to. So we can forgive through words, we can forgive through prayer, or you can go into that part of your body and you can talk to that part of your body, find out what you've stored in that part of your body that you're holding on to, and find a way to let go of it, and all of a sudden your body's clear.
And that sounds very simple, but when you have to have it in your body, you've had some for 20 years, in your heart, you've had heart attacks in your family, and all of a sudden you have a big emotional release, or you feel more love and you feel safer. Sometimes those heart attacks or that cancer, whatever it is, goes away. It's that simple. But you have to be willing to go into that space and trust those levels. A lot of this healing stuff is not that complicated. It's having a safe space and some kind of technology that helps you let go of those memories. And a lot of the memories in the body are so familiar, you don't even know they're there. In other words, they're so familiar. My belief I'm not good enough is so in my family system. It's always the way I see the world. I'm not good enough. They're better than I am. I'm not good enough, or whatever it is, or whatever it is. And so when you find out, wow, that's sitting in my face all the time, you go, wow, first of all, it's there. And I can give some forgiveness and let go of that a little bit. Tremendous amount of healing can happen, but that just an awareness. So a lot of this stuff about Lomi is more in your consciousness, in your awareness of what's going on, not just the physical part. Okay. It's very integrated into, we're talking about a little bit about the sounds and the chant, oral tradition. The chants were very important. So in the Hawaiian tradition, we do Lomi sessions, we use Hawaiian music or sound, sacred touch, breath, all these things, consciousness, where your focus is, all these things come together. Awareness in the moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. They all come together to create the session.
And you had asked about herbs, and there are definitely practices with herbs. That's not what we know. So.
Okay. And then also with chants, are there many different types of chants and stuff, and prayers and stuff beforehand? And
yeah. You know, one of the best things I want to say about this is, I like this thing about Lomi, is the initial prayer in Lomi when I do it is for myself. It's clearing to allow myself to connect to the divine and to have trust and life force in my body. Because if I have that space and I have that confidence in my body, I'm going to offer something to someone very powerful. If I honor myself, I'm going to transmit that honoring to what I'm doing with somebody else. If I'm awakened on some level, I can offer that vibration to someone else. If I just go and match their energy and don't have that space for myself, then I can't offer that to somebody. So I've got to offer what I have. So believe it or not, you know, Donna and I actually, we kind of live this. We kind of work with this all the time in our relationship, what we're doing in our life, our son, and the whole thing. So, you know, as you become more awakened and more aware, you can offer that to someone else, and they offer something back to you. So, you know, the prayerful place, the presence, it's quite a magical thing. And you bring that into the session when you're working on somebody. You bring that into a workshop when you're teaching. You also bring that in your everyday life. You're integrating that into your everyday life. Even when you're upset with somebody in the supermarket, or someone cuts you off on the highway, you're integrating into your life on a regular basis, which is quite powerful.
And I do want to say that this tradition is 100% Hawaiian. At the same time, we're in the same way. If you look deep into the core of every single religion, you're going to find these beautiful through lines that honor love and honor presence, honor being in the moment, honor appreciation and forgiveness, all these beautiful through lines. And our passion is extremely universal and extremely inclusive of all beings on the planet, and not divisive or divisionary in any way. So the Hawaiian chants are extremely powerful, and the Hawaiian culture is one that's based on living aloha, based on living from a core value of honoring the sacredness in each person. So that's very profound just in and of itself, and we honor that 100%. And at the same time, what we're offering through this work is more universal, in the sense that you don't have to be in love with Hawaii to appreciate the awakening that can happen in your own being when you're willing to let go of what isn't working and receive your deeper truth and your life force, the specific life force that's meant for you.
You know, I'm not. For me, it's not an attachment to Lomi or any kind of form. The idea is to use technology. Native Americans are a great one. I love Native American connecting to the land. I love the East Indian traditions of meditation. But the idea is to use these different forms to help people open up and heal more in themselves. It's not about just learning a form. It's about finding these things useful to help us open our hearts up more and to connect more in deeper ways. And that's what we do in the workshops. I mean, that's what we do in our sessions.
And then with, do you guys do anything with smudge sticks like Native Americans then too, or?
It's a really good question, and you know, we were kind of joking ahead of time because we have the fireplace going, and you know, it's very dramatic. And we probably have a smudge stick somewhere here. Actually, we have macaw feathers right here, macaw feathers. But what I would say, what's more important is the focus on creating sacred space, and creating that sacred space in your own being, first of all, which is what we've been talking about a lot.
Honoring yourself.
Honoring yourself, loving yourself, and coming to a place where you accept and embrace everything that's inside of you, even if some part of your mind doesn't like it or hasn't made friends with it yet. Finding a way to still embrace it. So that's inner sacred space. And creating sacred space where you work, where you live, it all matters. And especially for the session, if that space is clear energetically, if that space is visually beautiful, it's all going to contribute to the person feeling trust and willingness to receive and let go and feel safe.
It's honoring yourself. It's really all an invitation too, though, because you create a safe space for someone in a session or a workshop, and you want them to have deeper love for themselves. You offer more love to them. You offer a deeper place of acceptance for them. If they have to somewhere inside to say, yes, I'm going to take that and offer that to myself, they can still be judging themselves, be hard on themselves. So you're creating this space to feel more safety for them. If you got 35 people in the room, you got a workshop happening with 40 people in the room, it can happen more powerfully because they're all in that space together. But they have to make a choice inside, I'm going to go to that place and love myself in a deeper way, or release some of this stuff. They have to be willing to do that. So you can't do it for them. You always have to go back to the person, empowering the person to have it for them. Yeah. But all the smudge sticks and the chanting, all that stuff, I love all that stuff. It's great, but it's not about that. It's about what you're bringing through for the person in the moment. I might say the word energy to one person, they may jump out of the room. So, what's energy? Yeah. The same person I say God to, they're okay with that. Say God to the other person, they run out of the room. So you got to find out what works for each person. Building a bridge. I got to build a bridge and say, what's this person going to handle? What language do you need so I can feel safe, accepted? You're trying to find a place, a bridge to connect. The shaman connects the spiritual world to the physical, and you're that bridge, inviting this person to come deeper into themselves. And if I shake a stick at somebody with smudge and they don't like that, that's going to scare them out of the room. I don't want to do that, right? So maybe I'll use a bowl of salt and say, this is very clearing. It's not so much about the form again, it's more creating that safe space so they can feel safe or inside. It doesn't matter what it is, really, in my opinion.
And then Susan Kimmie, she says, I found learning Lomi Lomi from Tom and Donna has been transformational in my whole life, massage clients, personal relationships, and everything.
Hi, Kimmie.
Yeah.
We're here because of Kimmie. Actually, she told us about you.
Okay.
We have a big family of people. I mean, what happened for me as a student 20 years ago on the massage table when I opened up and had these big visions, it transformed every cell in my body. It's hard to describe. It was quite powerful. It took me years to figure out what's going on. I still don't know what's going on really at all. But the thing is I'm offering that to other people. We're offering that a place of aloha, a place of acceptance, using whatever wisdom we have to help them, asking the questions to help them. So it's a transformative thing that's happening for people. And it doesn't have to be Lomi. It could be Native American work. It could be prayer. It could be just having a peaceful walk in the forest. But connecting to yourself in an authentic way, in a deeper way. And also, when I bring this in, connecting to the earth, connecting to the Aina, the land, the animals, this whole part. These nature always did this, and we don't do this as much in this culture. And the other part for me that's really important is your Amakua, because spirit, your higher self, is always there right with you. The question is, are you listening to it? Are you connected? So you have a gift of the divine right there with you all the time. You have those lines open. Can I find a connection and listen to those spaces? There's so much wisdom to come through in your dream world, and then just in your intuitive world and receiving work. So it really is about unlocking what's inside of people. And you use anything you can, from a smudge stick to a prayer to just being present in the eyes, whatever works in that moment.
And I would say, talking about transformation, and for me, what has been most transformative, and also what I've witnessed in others, is, as babies and as small children, we're very, very dependent on our parents, and we're for our survival. And in order to survive, we try and fit in. We try and do what's expected of us so that we're safe, so that we're loved. And we get into these patterns of doing, so that we're safe and loved, safe and loved, safe and loved, fed, safe and loved. And at a certain point, we're asked to remember our true authority, which is our higher self, our connection to divinity. And I think things will start to happen in people's lives, and things happened in my life that invited me to question the patterns that were inside of me from my authorities, from my teachers, from my parents, from anything that I'd learned, and forced me to go through a process of saying, okay, but is that really right for me? Is that really who I am? And this work just asks that question over and over and over again in every single moment. Is this right for you? Is this enlivening you? Is this allowing you to bring your gifts into the world? Are these choices honoring you and helping you feel important enough to bring forth what you were meant to bring forth as a special being? And that's huge transformation comes from honoring that.
Yeah. We're talking a lot about it right now, and experiencing the energy of Lomi and the whole tradition. There is a form and a hands-on part of it. You know, and the form kind of holds the energy of it. That helps. It helps it along. Maybe one day we can do a little DVD or something, a little thing about the work itself and see what it means. But the idea is when you're touching someone, you're with someone, you're doing this form, you're kind of opening yourself up. We kind of do this left and right brain movement to open ourselves up. When you're touching somebody, you're saying, this moment, I'm present in the moment. And you're listening to what's happening in that body. So you take all this energy we're talking about and you bring it to touching someone in a personal way, quite powerful. But you're saying this moment means the whole universe is right here. This power of the universe, my focus right now, everything's right here, not in the future, not in the past. And that the person receiving feels that safe space, they feel his presence, someone's touching them in an honoring way, the energy is coming through. That's big stuff. It's not just, you know, this little massage here. A lot can happen. You don't have to talk about it all, but a lot can happen for somebody when you stay present with them.
Yeah. Ryan, there is actually a whole science behind that. If
Science? What is science?
Well, you know,
science!
this whole left-right brain process, if you'd like to hear about that.
Yeah.
Because the movements themselves help unlock memories.
A lot of the Hawaiian tradition is about circles and figure eights. This whole idea of left and right, integrating left and right brain. You talk about that a little bit?
So
I'll keep doing that. You guys watch my Donna will talk and you'll be out.
I will hypnotize every left.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of the movements in this style are based on figure eights and circles. And what happens for both the person practicing and the person receiving is the left and right brain are alternately stimulated. And with EMDR and other therapies that use this, what they call bilateralization of the brain, it actually helps unlock trauma that has been repressed. And, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder is something that EMDR is used for, and it's all about left-right brain stimulation. And this work naturally does that because the movements are flowing back and forth, one side of the body to the other. The difference is, in talk therapy, when they use these techniques, the person is still very conscious and very self-conscious because they're sitting there having a dialogue. When they're on the massage table and there be a very loving sacred space is being held for them, and they're constantly being sent the message through loving touch that they're safe, that they're cared for, and the left-right brain stuff is triggering any deep-seated memories to come forth. Those memories are coming forth while they're also simultaneously feeling very, very safe and loved. So it's a very different experience. They might have visions. They might have memories that they haven't had in a long time.
They might just relax, fall asleep, or, you know.
Yeah, but anything that they may have repressed in their body, might be power, it might be joy, it might be talent, or it could be trauma and negative memories. Whatever it is invited to surface.
Come out. Yeah, it comes out slowly sometimes, comes strong sometimes, whatever they need to happen, but it'll come out.
Yep. And then what makes your style unique, and what do you typically go over in your workshops?
Say it again now.
What makes your style unique, and what typically will you go over in your workshops?
Go over meaning?
What do you just...
with everything.
Okay.
No. It's nice to have a male-female polarity. I think when Donna and I teach together, it's really nice to have men and a woman teaching because it helps the whole process, father, mother kind of thing. We don't ever punish anyone. A lot of lineages, they have a strong, you have to do it this way. We invite people in the space. We're creating a space of aloha, which means presence, which means breath, and it means love. You know, be present, breath. We're allowing this place. When you offer a place of safety for people, they have healing. They say, wow, I have this space I can take advantage of that I can come out. So our number one thing for me is to create a safe space, that people have to feel safe and loved and accepted for who they are. Most people don't accept themselves for who they are. There's something inside, something's the matter, or someone told them something. So just getting to that place is big. And then, we combine, I'm kind of a jock from the past. I did a lot of sports when I was a kid. So I do this physical form. I like the physical form to show you how to do it. Combine this kind of practical, structural thing, how to do this session. We're very detailed about how to use your whole body and body mechanics and all this kind of stuff. Kind of show you how to do that. At the same time, we're talking about all this other stuff we're talking about right now, this opening space and spirit and your amakua. So after a while, you're like, there's a lot going on at once. So you kind of get a download. It's an overwhelming download of aloha, and you're learning something new. And it integrates into your body like that. It's not like you're going to learn something like you're writing something down. Don't write it down. It comes through transmission just by being in the space and receiving. So we create a really safe space. They're fairly organized, and people share their heart, whatever they want to share in the space. And that combined being present with people, it's a good medicine. It's just good medicine.
On a very practical level, we teach 3-day workshops, 4-day workshops, and an advanced reunion, which is a residential retreat, and then the Hawaii retreats. And in any workshop, whether it's 3 days or 8 days, we're going to go over every fundamental run on the back of the body and every fundamental run on the front of the body. And we break it all down very methodically. So we're sitting here talking about all the concepts of it because we're actually just sitting here staring at a computer trying to imagine you all out there. But the truth of it is, in the workshops, we are doing a lot of body work and doing lecture, demonstration, hands-on, going around to every single table, teaching people the very specific form. And we talk about the form and the runs as the ABCs. And then we do our very best to give people enough poetry inside so they can, write some beautiful poetry with the ABCs that we give them.
We have a big Ohana family teachers too out there that help us teach. But there's a form to it and there's a presence to it. It's just, it's a very, I was going to say something else. That's another question.
And what does kahuna mean?
Good question. Kahuna can mean a lot of things. It really meant before the last couple hundred years, it meant PhD in something. It meant you knew something really well. Be a kahuna of canoe making or kahuna of herbs, and how to work with the herbs. It meant you were an expert in something, right? In the last couple hundred years, it came to mean spiritual person, a spiritual teacher, right? A person who started from very young. Oftentimes in Hawaiian tradition, they'd see a child 3 or 4 years old. They know that kid was going to be a kahuna, and they start teaching him at 3 or 4 years old. And they teach him about connecting to whatever they're learning about. In this case, it would be spirit and healing work and how to listen and how to open your body. And so they would train the child to open their own being first. You open yourself first. Don't touch anybody, please. Just open yourself and learn from that and learn from your teachers. In that space, you become more open and more aware. And then after a while, they say, okay, now we're going to start finding something else. But they're trained 20, 30 years. I mean, it's a lifelong process of opening and training.
So in this work, somebody who is a kahuna is like a Hawaiian shaman. Somebody who,
bridges two worlds. Yeah. Bridges the spirit world or the medicine world, whatever you're going to call it, to something useful right now to help somebody right now.
And can connect with the natural world. And use the energy of the natural world as well.
I want to shift this a bit. I want to say something else. Shift a little bit. The kahuna thing and the spirit thing is wonderful, but also this work, we use this part of our body almost. Hawaiian's very practical. This part of our body, the whole session almost, with a little bit of hands. So you save your hands in this work. You don't use your hands that much. You're also using gravity and your weight and the energy of the earth. So the idea is you are allowing and being supported by everything around you. You're not trying to force something or make something happen. You're inviting somebody. You're using all these different tools of using this part of your body and not using your hands as much and not using your shoulder and just leaning in, finding alignment. So we kind of have a very practical thing happening, structured thing we're teaching, and also the spiritual part. It's a nice balance to bring it through. You don't want to just be out there in the sphere. You don't want to be so practical you're missing the whole creative part of it. So it's a very creative form of work. So we kind of bring that in. But, you can go on forever about the Hawaiian tradition and kahunas and spiritual things, and we can talk about that a lot. But the idea for me is how to take that stuff that we study and know about and make it useful for someone in Minnesota, or someone who's a suburban mother in Atlanta, or the guy who's overworked in LA, you know, or New York, and try to make it so it connects to them. How can I make it work for this person? You know, I went through that process, how to bridge those worlds and make it palpable for them, make it useful for them. So we don't want to just bring it all the way out there. We'll bring it, so it's how do we bring it to other people and make it useful? You know?
And do you consider your style authentic at all?
Our style is authentic in that we listen to our guidance. Mm-hmm. In the Hawaiian tradition, they have this thing called ohana, and ha means breath. You find that ha breath in Hawaii, that means Hawaii. Aloha, you know, mahalo means thank you, ohana. But the idea of listening to your truth is important. The idea of ohana is you have your family right now, and there's alive. There's also the family that's passed on. So your whole ohana in Hawaiian tradition is not just here talking to you. They're talking to you at other levels. They talk to them all the time. So we actually get a lot of guidance, to be honest, from spirit, from Amakua, from prayers, from meditation, from the session. I think a lot of people do this now, but so it's authentic in that we listen to what's important for us to do. My first real session in Lomi, I was laying on the table, and I had this big cathartic opening release, and I was so grateful, and I was crying, and my whole body was shaking. We're all just practicing. Night teacher had already left the room, and I had this big release, and I had this big vision. I kept saying, thank you, how can I repay you for this beautiful work and all this stuff? And the vision just kept pointing right here. It was just saying to me just to keep doing it. So that's my authenticity. I had this big emotional opening and receptive breakdown place. I said, what do I do with all this? He said, you know, just keep doing this, you know. That was my big thing. You know, and so we ask questions, we have guidance, we kind of follow that.
One of the most beautiful things that's happened since we've been teaching is we've had some Hawaiian elders, Hawaiian elders call and say, who gave you permission to teach? And so, you know, we get on the phone and we talk story with them and say, well, you know, Spirit keeps asking us to keep teaching and keeps giving us information and keeps guiding us about what we should teach. And in every single case, the Hawaiian elder has said to us, oh, chicken skin, right? Because they follow their intuition. They know in their hearts when someone is authentic. Our dear new friend, Harry Uhane Jim, who is a kahuna and just a beautiful man, was just in Hawaii with us.
Read his book, Wise Secrets of Aloha. Here's a plug for Harry. Wise Secrets
of Aloha. Yeah, you should get him on your show. He's wonderful.
Incredible.
But, you know, he talks about just answering to the authority of your soul and talks about, you know, this work being a transmission, and their Hawaiians are now all over the world because they're not just, you know, in people with Hawaiian blood. And so things are shifting. Things are really shifting, and they need to shift. Otherwise, a lot of the beauty is going to be lost. So, you know, it's a charged subject because, you know, there are schools of Lomi Lomi that say this is the only style, or this is the, you know, it has to be authenticated. And I respect that and honor that. And our authority has been actually the guidance we've received.
Well, one of the main tenets of Hawaiian tradition is not all wisdom is taught in one school. There's wisdom in every school. You can do our Lomi or someone else's Lomi or the Native American tradition or something. I mean, there's wisdom in everything. You got to find out what works for you. And so we want to embrace everybody who's teaching and everybody who's sharing the work.
Absolutely.
And also, you know, you want to honor the Hawaiian culture, Native American culture, and East Indian, all these cultures that have been around, and try to have peace and coexistence with these places and learn from each other. And so it's authentic for us in our hearts, and that's all I can say. You know, the Kahunas and the Native Americans that I know, sometimes they went out and started teaching stuff to other people about the wisdom that they had. And sometimes the other teachers didn't like that so much, you know. But sometimes they didn't teach stuff and the stuff gets lost. It just goes. They die and it doesn't get passed on. So the idea is there's a tremendous amount of wisdom in these native traditions. It's just amazing. And if you can connect to them and have the privilege to connect to them and be with them and bring them out into our culture, this modern culture is going so fast. There's so much happening, and the planet is getting really hurt in some ways. We want to try to connect back into those native traditions in some ways to try to have some healing and some realignment with the planet and with each other in a civilized way, in a real way. I mean civilized being in a real way, you know. So
maybe tip the value system back where it belongs.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then for people that complete your workshop, what kind of title can they use, and do you certify people in Lomi?
Everybody who completes is automatically a Kahuna. I'm teasing.
Which is not so.
You know, I don't like to disempower people. I think, this is a long story, but when you give someone a certificate, I give them a certificate, and I give them a piece of paper, and I say, they did this workshop. But they've got to find out what they want to do with it. They want to teach, they want to keep practicing. And so we want to say, we give you this paper, you did this workshop, and what do you want to do with it? Don't ask me what you should do with it, but what do you feel to do with it? So it's empowering people, not that piece of paper. I can have someone who's taken 20 workshops and be not a great practitioner, who's only taking 1 or 2 and be really good. It just depends on where they are with it inside. So we give them paper, we give them CEUs, we give them all that kind of stuff we want in the Western sense, but it's not really about up here. It's more about in your heart. You feel it. You want to offer it in your kind of way. Some take this work and don't even do the hands-on part that I taught them. They do the energetic part. They're doing cranial sacral, they're doing some other stuff, but they still have that presence in kind of the Lomi way or the temple style way. And some take it and do more of the hands-on work, but not the spiritual part. It's to find ways to work for yourself. There's no one way to do it. We're not trying to make people into little Donnas. We're trying to allow them to be who they are more, and that's what it does for me.
So they do get a certificate with what the National Certification Board calls a certificate of completion. And it's a beautiful color certificate. So they do get that, and they need to know in their own hearts if they're whether or not they're ready to call themselves a Lomi Lomi practitioner. And it's all within their own heart. And, you know, we're not a governing body in any way. We believe that their governing body is their own amakua.
Okay.
So.
And do you think a lot of it has been watered down over the years and stuff?
Whenever you pass a lineage down, usually you lose something. You lose something when one teacher to the next, but you also gain something. I mean, let's think about this. If I was a Kahuna from Hawaii and didn't speak English, first of all, we wouldn't be able to do this conversation. Second of all, if I was a Kahuna, I probably didn't know how to write. I didn't have a lot of modern tools that I have now. So, you know, it's been watered down in a way, probably. It's been taken, some things have been taken away. But there's also other things that are there that weren't there before, in my opinion.
Not only that, you know, it's a very interesting juggling and balance, because as teachers, we do sometimes see students who took one workshop and they are out there saying that they're teaching the work. And it's easy for us to fall into judgment about that. At the same time, schools attract to them the people that need whatever they are offering. The same students aren't going to go to that person that might come to, you know, a Kahuna on the volcano in Hawaii. So we live on a planet full of so many diverse beings, and to share aloha and share this sacred practice on any level is very profound and very positive for the earth and for people. and so, you know, we try not to get into judgment about
we don't know
anything getting watered down, but rather trust that if you're rooted in good intention, then what you have to offer is going to help people and support people.
So.
And then for people that you look up to, or kahunas and stuff like that, or that you go to for your I don't know how to put it, visions or
Abraham Kavai was the one who taught this work. He passed on a few years ago, but he used a lineage of this work. He comes through. Morna, talk about Morna.
Morna Namalaku Simeona. She is she was a living treasure of Hawaii, a kahuna, and really taught a huge amount of people about Ho'oponopono, and just really embodied forgiveness and love in a way that very few others have.
It may sound strange, but a lot of my teachers have been in spirit. I mean, they pass on, but they still talk to you in your dreams. You still get guidance from them. So, Harry Jim's a great guy. He's like a big brother for us or something like that. I mean, he's a good teacher. We go to talk to him sometimes. I think mostly we want to trust ourselves. After a while, you practice something for 20 years, you say, I gotta trust what I'm doing and bring it out the way I can bring in this moment the best I can. So we don't really go to a lot of people to ask if we should do something or not, except to each other and to talk to our students about how it's going.
Yep.
Trying to empower people to bring it to themselves and not to look outside. The old tradition, the old lineages sometimes are about authority and control. You got to ask somebody, should I do this now or not? And we're trying to let people find out what's right for them and not to look outside so much, but just to really trust themselves. It takes a lot of trust. Listen to your own guidance, not your head. What's your vision? What do you want to put out on the planet? How do you want to offer this? So we kind of live that way in our own way.
And do you mostly teach workshops in Hawaii, or just all over the United States, or all over the world, or?
We were just in Tampa last week. We're going to Virginia next week. We're in Hawaii in February. We're all over the U.S. mostly.
And we'll be in Canada.
We do sell DVDs to Europe a lot. And we sell DVDs, and we haven't gone to Europe that much teaching, but mostly around the U.S. We give CEUs in different states like Florida and Texas and Virginia, and we're nationally certified. So we go all over the country and to Hawaii. And we have some stuff online, DVDs we offer.
And where do you see the future of your style going from now?
There's so many people now who are students of ours that I'm amazed how well they're doing it. So it's whatever they want to do with it, with each one of them, It's not about the style to me. I'm not attached to Lomi in a hands-on way. It's about evolution of people becoming more aware. So my hope is that we're helping people open their hearts more, have healing, and help the planet and humanity to open their hearts and to have more decency toward each other. That's what we're doing. And it sounds big, but that's what we do. And that's what we do.
One of the most beautiful things we experienced in Hawaii with Harry Jim is he has such a huge heart, and he really is holding a space for all Lomi Lomi practitioners to be unified, to be unified, and we're in complete support of that. That we might have our unique way of teaching and coming to Lomi Lomi, and we might be very opinionated about our own work, but the truth of it is, it's such beautiful work, and this is a huge ohana. This is a huge community worldwide, and just bringing more love and more acceptance and more aloha worldwide. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you then?
The website probably Sacred Lomi, sacredlomi.com, SACREDLOMI.com. That's probably the best way.
Okay.
All the contact information is right there, and they can watch videos on YouTube, and they can call us, they can email us, they can go to Facebook.
There's a great family though. There's a great family of people who are teaching Lomi right now all over the country. There's also a ton of people teaching all kinds of shamanic work and visualization stuff and yoga. There's so many positive things happening in healing right now, and we miss that in the mainstream media sometimes. So there's just so much happening, and these small clusters of people opening up and working together. The yoga thing's just boomed. And so we bring all that in, and we're trying to create more humanity.
And I would say for anyone who has longed for more in massage than just the very very routine physical, if they feel drained by the work they're doing, if they feel like they're being pulled on by their client, if their body is hurting, this work is a way to infuse life and fun and joy and powerful transformation back into that very physical, more mundane.
When you have more consciousness of what you're doing, more awareness of what you're doing energetically, it helps you when you're a practitioner. You're not drained. You feel more power. One guy just did a workshop with me in Tampa, and he said, took your workshop, 3-year workshop about 6 months ago. I took it again with me. He said, my clientele has doubled just because I'm doing Lomi and the energy is coming through so beautifully, you know. Another guy who's been doing massage for 30, 40 years, knows more than I do at all kinds of modalities. And he just says, you know, his work has just become about being present, being more present. People come back because he's more present. That's what Lomi's about, being more manava, this moment, more present with people. And they recognize when you're with them, when you're not with them, you know. So it's not just the form, it's that whole tradition of being present, aloha, and opening your heart. You know, that's what it's about.
And do you have any closing words at all?
That was it.
Just aloha.
Okay.
Yeah, aloha to our ohana, too, our whole family of people out there.
Aloha.
And, you know, thank you so much for having us. It's been fun.
Thank you very much.
It's our first Skype session, I think.
This is, you know,
Fireside Skype.
we always talk
We're usually
about
on the road somewhere.
Yeah.
we always talk about creating sacred circles, and this is sort of like, you know, sacred cosmos, right?
Yeah.
I'm about to blow up. My back is so hot from the fire right now.
Yeah. No, that's the energy. Well, thank you very much tonight, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. You're doing great stuff.
Yep, thank
Great
you.
love to everyone.
Yep, and thanks to everybody for tuning in.